We are here to talk about the future of AI and coaching. And Marco, my co-founder, we have really been exploring this problem space over the last year almost. Year, yeah. It's about a year since we started having these conversations. I've known Marco for 10 years. And over those 10 years, we've practiced martial arts together. And then we both were in a situation at the beginning of last year where we're like, can we work together on something? And he's the engineer, I'm the coach, and that's where Journey Loop started. For these webinars that we're hosting throughout this year, it's really an opportunity to bring our understanding of AI to the coaching community. And yes, there is a soft sell for Journey Loop because we really think that this technology can help all of us develop a deeper understanding of our coaching practice. And in that way, we can find clients and have a thriving coaching practice. So, to start off, I know a lot of you are building your coaching practice, and I have found, and talking with Brenda and talking with a few people, there's a catch-22 when it comes to building a coaching practice. You build a coaching practice by having clients, but to be able to get those clients, usually you need to have a coaching practice. So what comes first? How do you move from pro bono with finding those friends and family and colleagues who are willing to practice with you these coaching skills, and then move into a space where you have these discovery calls and you know exactly what to say to be able to encourage them to go, yes, I want to work with you to achieve these goals. So we all know that experience is the foundation of learning, right? To be able to do anything, you have to practice, 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 and you get those experience. As a communications coach, helping people do presentations, a lot of my clients want to talk about what they're going to say in the presentation. And I go, no, 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 we're not going to talk about it. We're going to jump into practice and we're actually going to do it. And it's through that experience that you will have better learning. And so I've gotten a lot of experience by coaching clients, communications coaching, and now through Brown University I'm getting my ICF certification. And it is difficult to get that experience, but I know it's in the best interest of developing my practice. So after each session, I'm reflecting, what did I do well? What did I learn about my clients? And I learn a lot about myself. And that self-awareness allows me to know what my value is. So when I'm in these discovery calls, I can recognize my ideal clients, and then I'm able to speak their language. I know exactly the right questions to ask, and they start to trust me because it gives them a sense of like, I've been there, I understand your pain points, and yes, if you sign up for these coaching sessions, I'll be able to create the space for you to have these percolating epiphanies and to be able to make choices that lead to actions that get the transformation that you want. So the experience becomes intuition, intuition becomes reputation, reputation, it builds your practice, and that practice helps you find new clients. And that is something that I think is so important because when you find new clients, that's where you get revenue. That's where the revenue stream is. That's where you start to
Surprise.
get paid. And we really think AI can help streamline that and also help coaches, new coaches, coaches who are seasoned, but also want to find new clients. AI can help us do that.
Right. So everything that Michael just talked about, I'm just going to break this down and kind of turn it into a system if you want to think about systems in this way, right? So where you are in the beginning is you are the new coach. You have maybe these couple of pro bono sessions under your belt, but that's it, right? And what you want is book those discovery calls and to convert them into paying clients to build up your business. And now, as we just learned, right, for that, you really need that confidence. And so what does it look like step by step for a coach to actually get experience, right? And we think, a crucial part of this is to really develop a feedback system because otherwise you're just coaching in isolation and you just looking at your own coaching is not going to move you forward a lot without having someone reflect it back to you. And that usually happens in mentoring and in supervision, right? And then that feedback that you get builds your awareness of your strengths and your growth opportunities that you have, right? And then with that awareness, you can actually identify and develop what is your unique approach. How am I helping my clients and where is my niche? And once you have a clear understanding of that, that is the confidence that we're looking for. So fairly simple, right? This process is easy to understand, and it's not a secret. So if you follow it, you will become the coach that you want to be. But it does have some crucial limitations, right? One of them is that the feedback cycle is pretty slow, right? So maybe you have a 60-minute feedback session every other week or something. But you're definitely not having it after every session in depth, right? So that feedback cycle is really slow. And in between, you're not getting any feedback. Also, if you're, collecting all of these transcripts from your sessions, that's just a lot of raw data, and you're not a data expert, right? So the more data you collect, the more difficult it becomes to actually run a useful analysis on top of all of these recordings and transcripts. So that's really complex. And then third, if you're just starting out, you might not, have the money to pay for regular supervision or mentoring, right? You're trying to get paying clients. And that is what's going to get you the money. So these are like three quite critical points, but what we believe that is really unique in the time that we live right now is that you can actually fast track this process. And AI can really, really help build a system for yourself that kind of jumps all of these issues that we've just talked about. So, for example, if you're thinking about, getting feedback on your coaching and how slow that feedback cycle is, if you actually manage to use AI to get feedback on your coaching, that is always so once you set up a system where AI gives you feedback, you can use that system after literally every single session. And it's not limited to just 30 minutes, 60 minutes, but you can talk to AI for as long as you want, and it's not going to talk back and it's going to help you until you get it, right? Um, and not only that, but you can actually capture and accumulate a lot of the nuances that really make up your unique approach, which is really amazing. And then third, once you have all of that, that system that gives you feedback and understands your nuances, you can actually develop this deep awareness of your method that we're looking for really, really quickly. So it's not going to take you months or years, but you can actually grow your confidence within weeks. And so over the past few months, we have seen a clear trend emerging in the world of AI that we think really sets the foundation for you to build such a system for yourself. And so that is what we want to take a look at next.
So many of you were at our session in January. Quick recap, we made three predictions of where AI was going in 2026. And the first one was AI wants your data because the more data it has, the more that it can generate not AI slop, but things that make sense to you and are useful. Of course, over the last couple of weeks, if you've been following the news in AI, there's been stuff about Anthropic and OpenAI and contracts with the government. And I'm hoping all of this is educating everybody into, wow, my data, people want it and they can make a lot of money off of it. So we first wanted everybody to understand you have choices with the AI that you use. And I deleted OpenAI. You can come to your own conclusions. I moved everything to Gemini, where I have a Google Workspace where everything is private. And also, I'm using Claude because I really want to support a company that is being transparent about the ethics and the principles needed to build our AI future. We also talked about AI agents, and AI agents are like little employees that work for you. And Marco is starting to see even the company that he is building with me as the co-founder. And right, paying for somebody to come in and do things for him doesn't make sense. It is to have an employee, an AI agent, do these things for him. And that is the future. And how can we jump on board to be able to build a coaching practice that have these AI agents working for us? And then AI workflows. This part is connecting all of the AI agents and sub agents and things like how many of you have heard about OpenClaw? Yeah, OpenClaw is a brand new technology. It was an Marco can explain it better, but basically the person who invented it went from being just somebody like Marco. Marco, one day this will hopefully happen where he put it on GitHub and it got hundreds of thousands of downloads. OpenAI actually hired him for what? $1.5 million per year for salary or something more.
No, I think they bought it for $1 billion.
Oh my gosh, I don't even understand.
Billions, Michael.
Billions.
Billions.
I'm working in billions. All of this is happening in Silicon Valley. It is shaping the way that the world is moving. And what wonderful luck we have a Marco who's like, yeah, I'm not going to use this type of engineering skill to just make money for rich people. How can we do this to build human transformation? And that is where there's the Venn diagram between the two of us. And we want to bring this technology to coaches. And so we want to share with you what that could possibly look like and also give you a opportunity to possibly use this technology in the cohort that we are going to build in April.
Yeah, like me, you're trying to follow all the AI trends that are happening, right? I'm probably doing this on a much more intense and technical level. But if you want to wrap your head around AI, you got to read AI news, right? And I'm sure your LinkedIn is AI stuff and overwhelming and sometimes paralyzing, right? To see how fast things move. There's so many services and tools, and every day new things are popping up, and you got to use the next cool thing. So what I'm going to do in this next section here is really take a 3 million mile look of, where is everything headed? What are like the three main trends that we're seeing? And why are they really, important to pay attention to for you as a coach? So here they are, three main trends, and I'm gonna explain them to you in just on a use case that hopefully most of you know, right? I think the idea of recording a coaching session and then analyzing a transcript is pretty common nowadays, right? That is a pretty great use case to get use out of AI for your coaching, right? You record the session, you get the transcript, you put it into your favorite AI tool, and you ask questions and get an analysis. And so right now, there's a lot of steps involved, right? First of all, you have to record the session. And then you have to find the transcript, right? If you've ever tried to get a transcript out of Zoom, it's really kind of a pain and super annoying. So that is the trend number one that we're seeing is really going to go away. Instead of saying, "Yeah, I'm going to take all my data that I have and I'm going to give it to the AI," you're going to say, "AI, connect to my data sources and just find the stuff that you need to work with me." All right, so that is the one big trend that we're seeing is data connectivity is going to be much easier, and you're not going to have to sift through data anymore. You're just going to connect the data source, and AI is going to have access to it. Now, another thing that you might have experienced in analyzing your transcript is that every time you start a new conversation, you pretty much start from scratch. Right? You're going to have to be like, here's what I care about. Here's who I am. Here is how I coach. This is what the client is, and here's what we're going to analyze. Because otherwise, you're just going to get some generic feedback that is not really valuable to you. And that is also going to go away, right? So AI is really moving into a world where they now have an identity and memory. So you can say these things once, but then say, hey, remember this for the next time. And here's who I want you to be for me. And then the next time you have a conversation, the agent will remember this and kind of inhabit an identity that is really useful to you, right? So we've got data connectivity, identity, and memory. And then the third part is agency, right? So right now, as you're coaching, and if you really wanted to analyze each and every one of your sessions, you would have to go through this process every single time. So you finish a session, you download the transcript, you put it into AI, you do the analysis, you give it all the information, and then you do it all over again after the next session. Instead, wouldn't it be great if the AI had access to your data, knew what you want, and after the session automatically reached out to you and gave you exactly the analysis that you need? Right? That is what I mean by agency, right? So we're going from I need to ping the AI to the AI will actually ping you. And so if you take all of this together, that is kind of the world of AI that we're seeing is from a tool to really more of a relationship. And I want to give this a disclaimer here. So these trends are really new and emerging. They are already supported in a lot of mainstream applications, right? ChatGPT and Gemini, for example, have all of these connectors. And I gave you a couple links here on the right side. But implementing all of this, if you're not technical, can still feel really difficult. So just as a disclaimer, it's very difficult. But if you're really interested and want help with that, reach out. We're here to help. So that is the big trend. If you want to summarize all of this, right? We're going from AI as a tool to AI as a relationship.
There are two observations in the chat, Marco, if you want to read them and double check my responses to them. But let me tell you about this because I'll put this in a way that I think responds well or resonates with coaches. So, a lot of us think of technology as a tool that can help us do our job. Like, okay, I have Zoom, I press the button, and it transcribes it. Ooh, that's really helpful. That makes the hard work of like writing down. I used to be a linguist, right? When I listened to recordings, I would have to sit there and write out each word. It would take hours on a tape recorder. This was 20 years ago when doing my master's program in applied linguistics. Now I can just push a button and I get it and it saves so much time. This is the weird part. In the future, technology, we're going to have a relationship with it. That's why you see a lot of robots as a way of having embodied AI because our brains are hardwired for relationships. And if we want to have a ability to use AI to its full capability, if we keep on perceiving it as a tool, we're actually limiting ourselves. We actually get to have a relationship with this technology and how to package that, how to make it feel comfortable, how to make it a product. This is what everybody's trying to figure out right now in Silicon Valley. And that's why we're having this conversation because I want everybody to get a heads up like this is where it's going and how do we do it in a way that's responsible. Well, I think that's a perfect segue into showing you compare and contrast where we were in 2025 to where we're going in 2026. So in 2025, I would use Otter AI to transcribe my coaching sessions, download the transcript, then go over to ChatGPT and then upload the transcript. And I would say something like, tell me about this coaching session. And it would give me an analysis of what the person was struggling with in the coaching session. And then I will never forget the day that I was like, wait, I can ask it questions about my own coaching. Do I want to do that? I don't want to know. And then I had the guts to be able to say, so am I a good coach? And it gave me feedback. And I was like, oh, that is so uncomfortable. Looking at the results, I was like, this makes me a better coach. I don't really have somebody watching over me at all times, and I do want to like know like what worked well, what didn't, and I could sit there and reflect. But it's fun to engage with this technology. What Marco has developed using this technology that's developed in 2026 is here in an app, kind of like WhatsApp, Signal, it is Telegram. And I have now a companion. This companion has access to all of my transcripts. And on Monday morning, it messages me and says, hey, you've got these clients coming up this week. How are you feeling about it? And I might respond by saying, oh, I feel good about each of these clients, but I'm a little worried about Steven. He seems pretty stuck. Is there any ideas that you have for me about ways that I can be present or what should I notice while he's speaking and getting coaching in this week's session? And because it has that memory and it knows a little bit about my coaching style, it surfaces an insight. But instead of generating a report, it's more like talking to a friend in which the companion goes, "Hey, this is what you should think about Steven." And I can write back like, "I disagree," or like, "Oh, that's not what I want to do. What about this?" And it feels like I'm talking to a best friend about my clients. That helps me process. And that is how AI has shifted from a tool to a relationship. For those people who want to experiment and develop their own coaching practice, you tell the companion, "This is where I'm going," and it helps you develop that style. It is that adaptable, which is strange. And that's exactly leading to this next point that Marco is going to explain, because this, when Marco explained it, it blew my mind.
Right. So imagine, right, you have a client called Dennis. And so whenever you have, hypotheses or questions about something that happened in a session, or you just want to reflect on something, it usually in your head develops like this, right? Dennis had a strange reaction at the end of our last session. Help me unpack this. And now, if you just write this like that into a Gemini or into a ChatGPT, it'll be like, okay, well, who's Dennis? Who are you? What is your relationship? What do you mean by session? And when was that session? How do I get access to the recording? And also, what type of analysis are you looking for? What do you mean by unpack? And so now you're like, okay, here's the transcript. Here's who I am. Please read my website. And here's the approach that I'm taking. And after a little bit back and forth, maybe you get the analysis, the unpacking that you want. So that is already possible today, but it's really cumbersome. So now with an AI companion that knows your approach, that you have taught, that has access to your transcript, here's how that could go. It'll say, sure, let me take care of this. I'm going to pull your last session transcript and find the moment that you're talking about, first of all. Then I'm going to compare it to actually his growth edge, and I'm going to find some patterns across sessions, just because that's going to be useful to you. And also, I know you're working on your ICF credentials, so let me just run an analysis across the core competencies for you. And also, let me see if maybe similar situations have happened with other clients so you can compare to other clients. And, once I'm done with all of this stuff, I'm going to digest it for you and ping you with a message. Done. And that really is the power between just a generic chat interface and a companion that has access to your data and that can reach out to you proactively and work on tasks in the background and really reason about everything that is you and your practice. Does that make sense?
Here's how I put it.
Yeah.
So, how many of you know what Pokemon is? How many of you, I mean, Erica, Fabian, maybe you were kids of the 90s. Did you ever have a Tamagotchi? How do you say it?
Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi. She has like this little digital pet where you had to feed it, like take it to the doctor. I was like, it sounds like an AI agent is like this, that it starts from scratch and you have to raise it and you have to train it. And I'm like, oh my God, are coaches going to want to do that? And Marco was like, yes, because if you start to develop your AI agent and it understands you and you tell it what is what you want, what you don't want, and still you can ask it to challenge you, it will be there right next to you as a sidekick throughout all of your coaching and help you develop an awareness, help you see what maybe you could add to your coaching to take it to the next level. And I'm like, wow, that feels like having a digital friend right there next to you. It's just, I can't wrap my head around it at times. It's like, wait, is this the future that we want? And I'm like, well, this is the future that is being built, whether we like it or not. So, how do we bring coaching into it so that for you, I think having that opportunity to engage with a technology like this. In my coaching sessions, people are struggling with their relationship to AI. And so I can be there and be present for them as they start to talk about these type of things in their coaching sessions. Right now, I'm in the Silicon Valley, so this is the hot topic everybody's struggling with. So, we have some ideas of what companions can do for coaches moving forward. We have two possible best use case scenarios, and we're hoping through engaging with you and inviting you to join April's cohort that we can continue to build what are the best use cases for this powerful technology. that first one. Marco, do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've already discussed it at quite at length, right? But if you remember that road to confidence at the beginning, right? You got to have a feedback system to build your awareness and get the clarity, and from there comes your confidence, right? So imagine really having one of those AI companions who just gives you this instant feedback, and not just any feedback, but really uniquely tailored to what you need and what you want, and you can always adjust it, right? And if it ha has access to all other sessions and really powerful data analysis capability, it's always there, always learning, always improving alongside you. Right, this and it brings down your feedback cycle time really from weeks to virtually zero, and from something that is expensive and you only get every other week to something that's always available and fairly cheap. Right, and so ultimately, we believe that having a companion by your side really will allow you to grow your confidence so that you can solidify and really clarify your method and then get those paying clients.
Yeah.
Right. So that is really the one big advantage that we see is to grow your confidence, understand your method for discovery and renewal calls.
Yeah, the second one is with the companion in the background. I know that it is recording the session. Immediately afterwards, I'm going to be able to engage with it if I want to, like, clarify some things that possibly I misread, or maybe there was a question that I couldn't yet get out of my mouth fast enough and the opportunity moved, and I could then talk with my companion going, is there a better way to say that? What is the question that could have possibly unlocked this maybe newfound awareness, or a way to engage the person in a conversation around what does accountability look like moving forward? And that, as the companion, knowing that there's that safety net, that security, creates that sense of presence. And I see that as being something that I think a lot of coaches would really appreciate. It does create a surveillance effect. Don't get me wrong, there's a sense of surveillance. And I've had clients in my coaching sessions go, okay, is Journey Loop Companion listening to me right now? And I'm like, yeah, it's always here. And they go, okay, I want to go on the record for this. I want to be held accountable moving forward for this type of behavior. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, don't you want to say that to me? But it says it to Journey Loop. But it creates that sense of presence that I think might be the way that we move into the future, and I like it.
Yeah, I mean I think you summed it up emotionally, right? But the second big use case is really how you think about your session preparation and then what happens during the session and what happens after, right? So note taking is always a huge topic. Everyone has a different philosophy about it, right? Some people are like, I'm not taking any notes because I want to be fully present. And then there's other people who are like, oh, well, I really want to take notes, but I want to be present, and it's difficult to do both at the same time. And also, we're humans. You're not going to be able to really capture every single detail. And when you prepare for a session, you also don't go through all of your notes, but most of it probably comes from memory, right? So it's not really a perfect system at the moment, right? And then what was I gonna say? No, now, right, if you imagine having this AI companion by your side, first of all, it'll reach out before every session and say, hey, let's prepare for your session. Just like Michael said earlier, right? You don't even have to do anything. It knows that you have a session coming up. It pulls up all the data and does exactly the kind of thing that you want in order to prepare for the session. And then during the session, you just do what you do best. You show up, you coach, and you just trust that everything will be captured in in detail, and will later on be available whenever you need it. And a few minutes after the session, your companion reaches out again and gives you a full debrief, if that is what you want, right? Because your companion always remembers what you need and what you want.
There's
So
one last
there's
thing
one
that we are
last
developing.
thing that has three question marks in it.
So we've talked about the coaches angle, like this is what is helping us. but this technology can be then on the client side also. And as we know, clients, they're fully present, they're loving the session. And then we ask, what does accountability look like moving forward? And then you don't hear anything from them until the next session. What about if they had their own companion as a way to help them move forward with their own goals? Similar to our goals of becoming a better coach, their goal might be something that they say and they get to have a companion along the way.
Well, I'm going to share the link to this document just so you guys have access to it. And there's a last session here, right? If you feel like this could be interesting to you and you're interested in what is this whole companion business and how do I do it? We're going to start a new pilot cohort in April where we're going to walk through exactly that, how to build your own companion over the course of 6 weeks together with other coaches. So if you're interested in that, please join the cohort. But if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, that's totally an option too. Just book a call with me and we can chat.
We're building out this cohort program and hopefully we're going to be able to sell it to coaches in the future. What I think is really fun is if you have at least two coaching sessions per week, then you go and you experiment and you get that coaching, and then we come together on Fridays and we talk about what was that like? How did it work? Sometimes it's technical, sometimes it's just like, whoa, this is causing a whole mindset shift in how I see my relationship with technology and coaching, which is what the thought experiment Marco and I have been doing over the last year. And now we want to share that experience with more people. This has been fun. Oh my
Wow,
gosh.
we are
It's
on time. All
exhilarating.
questions answered. We got through the whole thing. Amazing.
Oh, we are practicing. I recently did a podcast around communications training and communication skills and AI. Like, this is such a brand new topic. I'm trying to practice just saying these ideas clearly and concisely. You can check out my LinkedIn profile if you want to listen to this podcast. It's a brand new world, and I want to, like what David said, there is AI literacy, and I'm trying to educate as many people as possible because yeah, it's as big, it's 10 times bigger than the workforce getting onto email. It's 10 times bigger than everybody moving their social connections onto Facebook. And I feel we both feel a sense of responsibility in trying to create something that can both feed us, but also educate as many people as possible. If you have any questions, please stick around. Otherwise, please sign up for the April cohort. If you know somebody who might be interested, please send it to them. We're going to do some advertising, and we're actually hoping to build two cohorts of 5 people each so that we can really test it out and get some great data. So please share, share, share. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah.
And feel
Thank
free
you
if you'd like
guys.
to stick around and ask questions.
Thank you both so much. Really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Thank you so much.